Hi everyone, this is Rosine, your host, and this is your Story My Inspiration podcast. And guess what? Today I have Daniel back again here to join me.
Hi.
How are you, Daniel?
Pretty good. Yeah, just coming off of work. I'm glad to be back on the podcast and share with you about the experience that we had at this conference that we went to.
Yeah, talking about work. They're gonna have to give us money. I'm kidding. Anyways, so I hope you guys doing well. Today is a little bit different. I'm gonna say why. I'm saying it's a little bit different because we're gonna navigate a very sensitive topic, genocide. So as he just mentioned, we recently attended an event that was themed around genocide awareness, and for educational purposes, to raise awareness, we started at a university. I want to say thank you to ASU for organizing that and for having us. So we were 4 speakers, including myself. So I talked about genocide against Tutsi in my home country, which is Rwanda, and hearing 4 stories, at least 3 stories, including mine, from Yugoslavia to Holocaust that was done towards Jews, yeah, and Rohingya. It's pretty incredible the way you when you hear somebody's story, you can see some similarities, some commonalities. So before we dive into it, I would like to say that this month in Rwanda, it's a month that is challenging for so many genocide survivors. So today, what I'm gonna talk might take me back to, those memories and stuff. But I wanna say that komera, humura, ubeho, ubereho abo wabuze abawe, aho bari baruhutse mu mahoro. I don't want to get too emotional, but if you understand where that those words, they are comforting, and there is no translation for that. But I hope you are brave enough and you just move through this April. We're gonna commemorate forever because this is the fight. This is our history. This is our stories, and one of the fights that we are fighting right now is deniers here and there. So, whew, okay, we are doing this, right? Right. Well, I'm glad I have you here. I'm glad for all the support that you are so supportive, and I really appreciate that. So as a person who was there, hearing all the stories from different countries, as a Westerner who didn't have to be in fear at any time in your life, like feel like the next day somebody's gonna chase you and kill you, or so, what is your takeaway from that? What is your thought?
Well, my takeaway is that exactly is that being born and raised in the United States, I was very lucky. I'm blessed to have been born here, and people who live here and who live outside of fear and don't have to worry about the type of atrocities and horrors that people in other parts of the world encounter, and people who who are here now who have encountered that type of stuff. It's a lot to process, having gone to this conference and hearing these stories and just knowing that the types of things that people around us have gone through, and that's a big takeaway for me, is that this stuff happens. It's not uncommon for these types of atrocities to happen, so it's important to talk about it and to recognize that this happens around the world. That way you can spot it in your own country where you are, and so you can help people when they need it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Before I play a clip of the presentation I did there, sharing my experience, sharing the history from the root cause to the end where we talk about forgiveness and things. I would like also to say that this is going to be a series of talk, because I want to make sure that I use this platform to raise awareness, especially that this time of year we commemorate in my home country. And it's not only April, because genocide happened in 100 days, and that means 3 months. So usually, it was stopped in July. That's the last month that the whole country was rescued by the good men, which we are we are grateful for them. They lost their lives. They did a lot. I don't want to be emotional today, because of course I'm going through all of that. But so stay tuned, because a clip is like 21 minutes. It's not boring, I promise. And the more you hear stories, the better you have like the understanding of what happens across the world. So today we're gonna focus on genocide against Tutsi in Rwanda that happened in 1994, from 7th April to July. I can remember the date on top of my head. And the next time we will do another one. It could be one like in Yugoslavia or Jews community Holocaust. But for now, please stay tuned. We will get back and just have like some thoughts after the clip. And one more thing before I play the clip, please. This platform is for good message, positive and constructive comments and feedback. This time of year, my people back home, so many Rwandans across the world who survived the horrible thing, they are hurting, they are mourning their people. I'm not using this video for any views like jam or something, or have like engagement that is not positive. I would like this message to be a message of hope, educating people. But there is hope, there is resilience, there is unity, there is reconciliation, that we went through all the steps to heal. We are healing, but April brings some fresh memories. So please be kind, because kindness doesn't cost a thing. And if you really don't have something kind to say, a constructive comment, you can just, watch it quietly and just keep it for yourself. That's how I would say it. But thank you for understanding that, and thank you for tuning in, and stay with us. We will be back after that video clip. Genocide against the Tutsi, 1994. First thing first, I would like to say that the reason I said unknown number is that if you look up on Google, they will say 800 people died in Rwanda, over 1 million. But to be honest with you, there is no way to know the statistics, because it was a whole massive killing. Some people were thrown in rivers. We don't know. Some families were wiped out, like a whole family of 9 people. You know how African people can have like 10 children. The whole family would be just thrown in the river, and they didn't know how to swim. And so I like to say that we are still like kind of getting people who are doing their time in the jail saying, hey, guess what? In my backyard or in my toilet, I buried like 20 people there. Can you go and check? Like after years and years, like, dude, it's been, you could have said something so there people can bury them, like, and honor them. But so that's why I don't talk about numbers, but it's millions and millions of people. Dogs ate, birds ate. So it was like really horrible. So the agenda today, just only 4 points. So stay with me. I'm not going to be boring, I promise. The ideology. I will highlight that so much because that's where the root problem is. The root cause is when people are taught to hate each other, when people are told that this because they are short, because they are tall, because they have blue eyes, because they are blonde, because whatever the reason is there for the interest of the hater, the ideology starts like really back in time, and it has roots that sometimes it's not easy to erase after because consequences are really so for so long lasting, which I just said there in the image. Then the execution of job, they put it a job for them because they had goals. Yeah, I'm gonna kill 100 maybe in 2 days. I don't know how they did that, but they were bragging about it. Today I killed the 30th person. Like they were bragging about it as if it was like really something to be proud of. And I have no clue, but sometimes human can get the worst kind, you know. So then last but not least, which is really important that I want to highlight today again, is forgiveness. How did Rwanda move on after all the atrocities? How did we get to rebuild and heal? It was a big ask, but we had to forgive. And unity and reconciliation helped us to move on. Let's see. Well, ideology. Rwanda was okay. Before colonization, we had like all sort of groups. You talked about ethnic groups and stuff. We had that, but it wasn't like division per se. It was just social categories like tribes. It was more like any kind of people could be tall, short, whatever, and be in one category depending on the tribe they belong to. There were like 9 tribes. But then Belgium came to Rwanda happily because, you know, just a tiny country. They don't know so many stuff. They need salt and spices. We are poor and they can do whatever they want. So they started, of course, they are divided there in their country. Walloons and Flay, I can't remember. There are 2 ethnic groups. Yeah, they brought that. And they brought in also identification that put like ethnic groups there. Well, it didn't go well because the hate started there. And from the colonization to teaching people how to hate each other, that ideology created so much tension. It's like they set up some ethnic group against each other. Like, you know what? These tall people, they think they're beautiful, they think they're smart, they think whatever you can make up to make, it's easy to hit on somebody. Let's say that they say, well, 6 feet people here in the US and blue eyes, and I'm just making stuff here. They get job in Hollywood and they're crushing your dreams to get in Hollywood because they're beautiful, because they're smart. And then you start hating those tall people, blue eyes and blonde hair or something, because they're making money, they're crushing your dreams, they're taking your job in Hollywood. I'm just making stuff here. Then you start seeing somebody tall and like, I could have been in Hollywood, and this dude is like, the hate built up from there. And what happened is really so incredible, because it took like really, they came in Rwanda in 1920s. They started all that division, and of course, the 3 ethnic groups they created, one felt like they were really inferior than another one, and they started like saying that there is like control or something, like, so they started trying to flip the roles, like, oh yeah, you don't even need to be in this country. Then dehumanization, I'm gonna highlight that, because dehumanization is one of the things that made things worse. In which way? We were called snakes, we were called roaches. You know, nobody wanna see a roach anywhere in, you know, in their space. Name calling, you can see that everywhere. When people start hating each other, they call names, like those snakes. You know, nobody would want to be around where the snakes are. So they deserve to be killed, murdered. Roaches, stuff like that. And media played a big role. I'm gonna highlight that again because it's easy to spread hate in the media. And guess who they used? Young people. They were just calling like, you gotta help, you know, you gotta fight for your country, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't, I wish it was just like guns, they were machetes, you know, I wish it was just one shot. At some point, some people, they were tricked to choose between a machete and a gun, a bullet, but after paying the money and saying, yes, I would like to be shot instead of a machete here, because if you saw this first picture, that lady had like scars. It's not makeup for moving, it's machetes everywhere they could, So after paying that money, they would still be cut into pieces. Like it was really so horrible to the point where you would wonder, why would a person hate another one to the point where they just want to enjoy your suffering? Not only you're gonna die, but you're gonna regret your last breath. You're gonna regret to be a Tutsi. That was the thing. Execution included like putting blockades on roads. Nobody, like checkpoints. Regularly checkpoints, they are for checking if you have all documents so you can pass by. But the blockades, they were like, oh, you Tutsi, get out of the car. Why would you want to kill that person in a way that they suffer to their last breath, like regret? Maybe if I move on the next slide, this is where the media really did a big like spreading the hate. So they created these 10 commandments just for them, saying that Tutsis are really poison for this country. Tutsis, this, that. They're dishonest. One of the metaphors they used not to let the refugees that were in Uganda and other countries to come back, they told them that Rwanda is like a glass filled with water. There is no more spot. So you stay there in refugee. You don't have right to be in your country. And to get back to the humanization and the ideology of genocide, you start losing all your basic rights. You can't go to school. You can't do this. You can't do this. We kind of were not allowed to continue studies. You would crash the exam, and next thing you know, they say, no, you are not on the list. How come? Like in school, many teachers had to say, Hutus here, Tutsis here. It's not like they liked it, but you could see kids didn't even know what that means. But that was the government, for the sake of numbers and statistics, but dividing people. That's where it starts. You start by a dinner table saying, hey, Rafi Branislav, don't look at Rosin. She's, you shouldn't even hang out with them, to the point where you go to school, you think you're gonna, shake hand with your buddy, but because their parents thought, no, you don't want to hang out with them, stuff like that. So when I was doing preparing this presentation, I landed on this, and it was saying the graves are not yet full, so we can still kill and kill and kill. So yeah, it's crazy that at some point they felt like the pleasure of killing more than, I don't know how they thought, but it's really insane that somebody would think that killing somebody is fun, and I'm bragging, I'm gonna get on my goal of killing 100 people and bragging about it around. Well, one of the things that I found on media, this is in my mother tongue, of course, but when they knew that the army was coming in to rescue others in the country being killed, this is one of the things that that was published in the newspaper, saying that roaches, Inyenzi means roaches, they are coming back. How are we going to welcome them? And you can see these are coffins, right? These are coffins and bones. That's how they're going to welcome them. They're not going to see their loved ones that they left in the country when they fled, because we're going to be killing them. So it was really a clear hate that they weren't even ashamed to say it, or to just sit in the street and brag about stuff. One of the this picture gets me all the time. Talking about denying your own identity so you can move on and no. So this was found in a memorial place for kids, where they put the last words that they told their killers, begging for their lives. And one of the things that I didn't mention is that it didn't matter what age you are Tutsi, you're gonna die. Unborn babies were being killed in the wombs of their mothers. They would just cut them open, and they're gonna grow, they're gonna revenge, there is no way. Roaches, roaches. So here these little ones thought that saying that she's not gonna be Tutsi anymore, we're gonna help her, but they killed her anyways. Yeah, please don't kill me. I will never be Tutsi again. And so many people had to deny their identity, stuff like that. Well, the execution, I'm not gonna repeat myself about blockades. There were like checkpoints everywhere. Get out of the car if you're Tutsi. They murder you there. That's it. There was extreme torture. I explained that. There is nothing worse than having a pregnant woman saying that you're gonna give birth to a roach. Let's see how they look like in your belly and stuff. Women were sexually assaulted. Not only assaulted, they would assault you, and then afterward they would insert stuff inside their private parts. Riots, properties taken down, dig holes. Remember the story of my sister that I told? They were just burning people alive, and it's not like they're putting you there, then you can maybe dig a little bit up and see if you can breathe, because they cut you open some ways and you dry out by just, losing your blood and end up starving and, suffering in the process of your, big birds, dogs on the street, they were just eating, and they were, it was just horrible. I would say that apart from what I mentioned about families being wiped out, I would say that I've been blessed with my family, because really nobody in the family unit directly they killed, but my uncle who refused to flee with us, of course they had him. He thought they are neighbors, we shared beers, we shared milk. Milk is a big deal in my home country. Who would kill me? We hang out all the time, but those are the people who came first and said, I'm not saying that all of them killed. Listen up. Because some really had this and this, heart and brain, and they knew that it was not okay. There are some moderate who even were victim of hiding some of the Tutsi. Like they had to choose. They were like, you're gonna hide Tutsi, we're gonna kill you with them, or you're just gonna give us the access to them. So many had that bravery of trying to hide their friends. Also, I have to mention that even though the colonization divided us, we were just marrying each other. So we had mixed kids, we had mixed couples, and those spouses, some of them were obligated to, if you don't kill, why did you marry a roach? Why did you marry a snake? You gotta do what you gotta do. Or most of the time they would kill them, because nobody would want to kill their spouses unless they weren't into the marriage and stuff. So moving forward to damage and the consequences, huge loss, of course. What do you think after all that chaos? One side, the perpetrators, everybody's agitated, irritated. They didn't get to finish their job because somebody stopped the genocide. So if they get another second, they would finish what they left off. They are, but others are really ashamed, because some of them didn't even know why they were. Because they would ask, hey, are you gonna really kill me? I gave you milk. Are you really gonna kill me? Because they were really so hosting each other, sheltering each other, sharing food until they were told to do so. And the confusion was, how am I gonna kill my buddy that we share beer every single evening? But some of them didn't use their brain. Of course they did. And if you ask them, they would say, the government, it was just from up there. It was the order, but what did you think? And then, of course, emotional wounds. It's been 31 years this year. Unfortunately, my poem didn't play, but I would say that it doesn't go away. You said that some triggers, some smells, it's not easy. It's not easy because there is always something triggering. And one of the things that I would say that Rwanda was able to move on. Why? I'm gonna again put a stress on forgiveness. I'm not gonna say it's perfect. Hear me well. How would you forgive somebody who wiped out a whole family of yours? Like literally being asked to forgive somebody who killed your people. It's the big ask, but there was no way. Revenge wasn't gonna do anything. So I'm here today to talk about forgiveness. I'm here today to talk about that hate doesn't bring anywhere, but forgiveness not only help the person who has that burden, like you're not gonna resent the person for the rest of your life. Also, talking about how we handled some of the situations, there was not gonna be like court things because it was gonna be so super expensive. How many people are going to court a day? Because it was like so many people did that. So what happened? We gathered in the communities and people were confessing. Of course, not all of them. So there were like others pointing out, I know you did that. If you don't say, but I was there. And, we handled things in the communities. Not perfect. I'm saying not perfect because by the end of the day, some didn't even want to confess or ask for forgiveness. But, or for example, I remember my dad once, they told him to go to one of those community court to just, point out because we lost so many things. But he didn't even want to go because he had all the triggers. He was like, I'm not going. They were like, so if you're not going to go, then what's going on? What's your deal? He was like, everything I lost, I got them back. God provided. So I'm not going to do any of that. So they made him write a letter saying that he forgave and stuff. And one of the things that relieve a hurting hurt is just forgiving. It's not easy. It's not like I'm gonna forgive you because I'm saying it's a process. But the more that you think like you don't want to resent somebody, you don't want to think about what they did in the past, because were they gonna be killed too? That was gonna be the most stupidest thing. Like it's a whole country, chaos, confusion, trauma everywhere. And what happened? Confessing and just forgiving each other helped Rwandans to move on. So people would go do their time in a jail, and once they are done, they knew that they have to coexist again. Not perfect. I'm gonna hear like, how would you live next door with somebody who killed your husband, your wife, your kids? Yes, some of them would come with like not the right mindset and start to do other stuff again, but that's when the government over time set in place some more like precautions. I want to say that it's not easy to forgive, but once you've forgiven somebody, you move on easily. And that's how Rwanda is now moving forward. And I'm gonna say it's not perfect. We commemorate every April. Actually, it's gonna start 8th. That's when it really started, like the boom. Of course, it started like since back in years, but when they started killing and murdering people with machetes and stuff, it started on 8th, and we commemorate. But also, we are still trying to educate people. That's why today we gathered here to make sure that even if it would be one person just got a message out of this, that would be nice. It doesn't have to happen anywhere else because it's not pretty, it's not good. I speak from experience, and my friends talked, so nobody would want to go through that situation. Thank you so much. We are back here. Thank you for watching and staying. Thank you. I appreciate you doing all the support, like subscribing, spreading the good message. And I really hope that video clip helped to understand a little bit of like the big picture of what happened in my home country, which I would probably get into deep at some point during this time that we're commemorating. And I'm gonna say that it's not easy, it's emotional. Some words might bring back some memories, some graphic are not really so pretty to hear and stuff, but that is the reality, that's the truth, that's the sad reality, that what happened really. People suffered and it was just horrible. There is no other word to describe what happened in my home country. So, hey, what did you think?
So what I thought was just your story and listening to you describe what you went through and what happened there. It takes you there, you know, listening to that type of story. You see, you know, you can picture the atrocities, you can see what people have gone through and how alien and different it is to the comfort that we live in here. It's so far away from, you know, what we experience here. So I just really am grateful that, you know, that we're blessed here in this country, and that your people were, you know, that made it through, and that your family made it through, and that you're safe. I was really impressed by the bravery of the speakers, just going up there and talking about the things that you went through, the things that you saw, and telling some of those stories. I can't imagine going up in front of a group of people and talking about the hardest part of my life, especially something so horrible. So you and the other speakers are, you know, very brave, and what you're doing is really important. And it's really important to tell people about what's happening, because even just at the conference, before it started, the person organizing the event said that they saw somebody walk past, and they said they saw the sign, and they're like, I don't care about this, and they just kept walking. But it's important to know that this stuff happens. It's not uncommon. There's something inside of people that this comes out all across the world, and it could happen anywhere. So it's important to share that message, and to talk about these atrocities, so that people can see the warning signs, so that people can understand the horrible things that people go through, so that if your neighbor needs help, that you could reach out and help them.
You would think that like, who would do that? Like, really, why would people want to kill others? It's, people can get the worst type of creatures, and it's crazy that you can still not understand, because you are a normal person and don't understand how somebody would hate another one to that extent. Were you gonna add something before we wrap up?
No, just that depending on your environment, your beliefs, what people tell you. Rosine made this point that that the media targets young people and feeds them these ideas, and then they grow up believing that, and they could really transform people into something ugly. And this is something that happens and can happen anywhere. So it's important to know that it does happen, and just to do your part to spread that awareness, and to do what you can to stop it from happening.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. At least I don't have to do it by myself and go deep into my thoughts and picture everything. So that is like strength, at least. Thank you so much. And I want to get back to the message in this video, in this talk. It's a sensitive one, and I hope I didn't hurt anybody. If so that you know, the pain is common here, and we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves. I know somewhere in a village there is a person who doesn't even have somebody to talk about their feelings, who lost their whole family. I don't want to be so emotional right now, even though it gets me, but mpore komera, wararokotse kandi uriho. And let me ask for all the friends around here in Western community. It's real people. We lost so many lives, and wounds are still fresh. You would wonder, 31 years, you should move on. It took them the ideology to be implemented years from 1920s, and they were it's like planting something and water it over time until it grows like roots so big and has like roots that you can't, like, it would be not easy to erase. So after 31 years, I don't think it's easy to erase that in people's hearts, because we know what's happening right now. All the beef here and there, deniers, but please, deniers, let me tell you something. A history written in blood won't be erased. I'm quoting somebody that I respect so much. So it's a written story in blood, and we are testimonies, living voices. So we can live together, we can coexist and move on, but all we just need, the whole world, it's just a peaceful world. That's it. So please subscribe, share this message, get it as far as you can. And again, to my people back home, I know what you're going through. I hope you find solace in moving forward, living the life of those loved ones that were like robbed off. So I think that should give you a purpose. I'm quoting another person who recently gave a testimony. The pain gave us purpose to move forward and just be brave. So thank you so much for staying with us, and I'm gonna thank you too. Do you have any last message for the whole world right now?
Sure. Just the how inspiring your message of forgiveness is, even through all the pain and the trauma. The message to forgive, to heal, to unify, and to live in a peaceful and loving society. I think that's really important. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for having me back on. I appreciate everybody watching.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Take care of yourself. We will see you soon, because this is a series. I said this is Your Story, My Inspiration podcast. Your story inspires me. Rwandan story. Like, imagine if everybody in Rwanda wrote their book, because we were living in a big, not so big, but in a whole country, and everybody went through different stuff. Imagine those books. Imagine those stories. So let's just keep it alive and make sure that we don't, because you know the motto, you know the slogan, never again. Never. It shouldn't happen anywhere in this world. No more. No more hurting, no more killing, no more genocide anywhere else in this world. Thank you so much. We talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, we ask you to guide us. We ask you to say the message that is going to educate people, not hurting them, no living like any kind of weird feeling, but educating people so they know about what happens across the world. Also, I pray that this message that we're going to deliver online gets the impact that it needs to make out there, especially for people who are hurting, so they can feel peace, so you can hold them in your mercy and love, so they can go through this period that is really so challenging and so emotional for so many. Be peaceful for them. guide us, guide our words, guide our lips and tongue to do the right thing. And thank you for your protection, and thank you for loving us. Amen.
Amen.